Welcome to the Huddle. We are excited to be using this channel as a way for us to share with you, our constituents, our shareholders, and our stakeholders, all that's happening within Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. Today, it's my honor and privilege to share time with our President and CEO, Michael Crawford, who will be sharing the latest and greatest as it relates to a number of items within the company. Mike?
Thank you. First of all, great to be here. Our very first one of these, right? So it's exciting to be able to talk to all of our investors and fans and guests. There's been a lot of things going on over this last couple of months, and I thought it would be an opportunity for us to take a chance and talk about some of those things. First, and probably the most important, you have seen just recently over the last day, we announced a series of different debt restructurings. Now, some of you may take that as interesting news, some of you may take that as really good news. I take it as the latter. We had about $45 million worth of debt coming due this year. And over the last couple of years with COVID, of course, we have been working hard on the commercial debt financing that I've talked about on several of our earnings calls. Our largest shareholder, Industrial Realty Group, or as we refer to them, IRG, stepped in and offered an opportunity of support for the company that I found so compelling and overwhelming, we took full advantage of it, quite frankly. We had been talking a lot about commercial debt financing and securing commercial loans to continue the development of the Hall of Fame Village. And what we came to the conclusion was, if IRG could take some of the debt that they owned already and extend that debt, potentially taking out other debt that we have on our books, predominantly the Aquarian loan that we took out 2 years ago for $40 million, and everyone should recall we've paid that down now to $7 million, a little over $7 million. If they could take the three debt pieces, Aquarian, the IRG loan that we took out before we received Erie Bank commercial financing, and the loan that they provided to us for the DoubleTree Hotel a little over a year ago, take those and extend the maturity of those by a few years. That gives us a much longer runway to negotiate with commercial lenders. It also shows great confidence, frankly, from our largest shareholder to be able to step into debt, take that on, and extend other debt out. And as a part of that, you'll be able to see that they've also frankly agreed to the fact that if we get to a place where debt becomes too big of a concern for us, they may be willing to convert that into equity. So an incredibly positive message for our shareholders and our investors on that front. The second thing that happened was Stu Lichter himself, one of our largest shareholders as an individual, agreed to back or support a loan that we're taking out for the Center for Performance, and this is a commercial loan. And so Stu personally is guaranteeing that loan, giving us access to the commercial debt markets that I've talked about in the past. Another huge statement and commitment from our largest single shareholder and investor. The last piece of commercial debt restructuring that we did was with one of our commercial partners, Erie Bank. And 2 years ago, we took out a loan for our DoubleTree Hotel by Hilton downtown. And Erie Bank was that lender. Again, thinking about the difficulty of the financial markets today, we worked with Erie and they have agreed, and we've extended that loan from September of this year, the maturity date, to September of 23. So you can see what we're trying to do here is flatten out the debt profile of the company, where we had $45 million roughly of debt due this year, taking out a substantial amount, not quite all, but 90+% of it, and extending it over the next 2 to 3 years, giving us a chance to stand up assets, start generating revenue, and frankly refinance and bring in traditional commercial lenders. Very good news on that front, and I think something that our shareholders and our investors are going to be really pleased to hear.
So there's a lot happening on the debt refinancing front. There's also a lot of other press releases that have come out related to the company. Events happening, different sponsorships, tenanting opportunities, news related to the Hall of Fantasy League. Can you share a little bit more about why those news items are so important to the company?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's talk about the difference between an announcement and actually executing the game plan, right? So for me, announcing something is important to inform our investors and the general public of all the great activity that we're doing. But what really is important about it is the execution and the drive behind it. And all of those things you just listed, let's remind everyone the three business verticals that we're in. Destination-based assets, creating media content, and also gaming. Every time our investors or our guests or our fans see an announcement like we're going to have the USFL playoffs and championships here this year, the things that should come to mind are great new experiences for our guests to have right on campus. The other thing that comes to mind from an investor point of view is great new revenue channel. Guests staying in our hotels, eating in our restaurants, paying admissions fees, visiting our Pro Football Hall of Fame. All of those things collectively drive the synergy and the revenue growth that we talk about. So when we talk about announcements, those are really the vehicle to inform our investors. But when you really dig and you sort of peel the layers, you're talking about the ability for us to drive revenue. And so everything we've done over this past year, creating new events, signing new sponsorship deals, extending business verticals, meaning growing our gaming vertical or creating new media content, our investors should take away from that it's the growth of revenue that is the really important part of that announcement.
In addition to that, there's a lot of different news items that have come out related to sponsorship opportunities. How does that impact the company? Why is that important?
Yeah, I think most people have seen as we started the company, in June, July of 20, that a considerable amount of revenue was coming in from sponsorships. Companies like Johnson Controls, Constellation Energy, and others were driving revenue for us as a company. Now, as we add more events and we add more assets, those revenue channels get more diversified, and we bring in revenue from multiple different areas. But let's be clear, we have special intellectual property here. We have experiences that other brands want to be affiliated with. And so as we announce new partnerships, they create value for us in one of three different ways. Number one, it could be an operating partner like an ASM or an AVI that really gives us an ability to promote or drive new activity into the destination, or create great food experiences or something of those natures. So they're partners, they're partner sponsors. The second way in which we generate an opportunity out of sponsorships, obviously, is revenue. These sponsors want to come in and have an affiliation or a brand partnership or an opportunity to be a part of an experience that only we can create through our connection with the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the power of professional football. And so recently we announced a partnership with Cleveland Clinic. We also announced one with Forever Lawn. Both of these sponsorships had a partnership component but had a revenue component, and that revenue is guaranteed, and it brings in an opportunity for us to develop and grow as a company. The last way, of course, is just a pure, I would refer to it as a pure sponsor. Cleveland Clinic and Forever Lawn had a component attached to them where they were going to be the official on-field medical provider or the official turf provider for us as a company for our fields. They're simply sponsors that want to have naming rights to a facility or want to have signage up around our campus. Those sponsors are pure revenue generation for us, and we've announced several of those over the last year. In fact, I think we signed about 26 new sponsors in 2021, and we're off to a good start now. The trick with sponsorships, though, is timing, and we want to be careful not to engage too quickly with certain categories. We want to continue to build our destination, drive more attendance here. We want to create media content in our gaming vertical so that as we engage with sponsors in the carbonated beverage category or the alcohol category, that they see even bigger value and want to partner with us in multiple different ways, but also the potential for higher revenue opportunity growth there. So I've heard a lot about sponsorships and what do they mean, and are they really beneficial to the company. All I can say is when you partner with great companies, you're deriving greater opportunity to deliver experiences that are one of a kind for our guests and our fans, but it's also, as I keep saying, revenue for our company.
So let's take a few minutes and talk about stock price. I think we're all aware of where the stock price is for the company. Is there a concern? Do you have a concern about being delisted? And then additionally, what are your thoughts about a reverse stock split? Is that something that you're entertaining or something we can...
Everybody always goes to the reverse stock split. Let's start with one thing. The stock price to me is an indicator of shareholder value. And for us, If we pay attention to our business and we execute our game plan, and our team has done a fantastic job doing that, the stock price will continue to grow. I'm confident in that. We have shown our ability to weather the storm of geopolitical issues, the worst health pandemic that's ever faced humanity, the financial markets being in turmoil, and yet our company still is building new assets, creating media content, signing new partnerships, signing new sponsorships. So am I happy where the stock price is? Of course not. I don't think any of our shareholders are. Am I confident that if we continue to build, grow, and develop as we've planned, and our team does their job the way that they have over the last year and a half, that that stock price will continue to increase? Yeah, I'm very confident in that, because I think we're creating experiences and we have access to intellectual property that other companies can't and don't. And so, in my experience working with companies like Disney or Four Seasons, the gold out there is when you can have intellectual property or partners that can give you access to intellectual property like that others don't have access to. You can create wonderful experiences, tell wonderful stories, and create these environments, both physical and virtual, for guests and fans to enjoy. Well, I've heard a lot of chatter about reverse stock split. First of all, reverse stock splits are used strategically when you have that need. And that need occurs when a stock falls below $1 for 30 consecutive trading days. Our stock fell below $1 for about 4 hours one day and has rebounded since. But look, are we happy with the stock price? No, absolutely not. I do think, though, that there has to be an understanding of the environment that we're in. Let's talk about the health pandemic. We're not unlike any other destination. Visitation is now starting to come back in a much stronger way, but we have to create more assets, more events for our guests to enjoy, and we're doing that. We did that last year, and revenue is growing. The other piece to this is, though, patience, right? We are a growth company. We literally went public July of 2020. And we went public probably at one of the worst times that you could ever imagine doing that. But we did it to gain access to the equity markets. And we've done that very successfully. We've raised approximately $130 million of new capital for this company. And so we've leveraged the markets in a way that we need to. Now it's time to start harvesting the success of what we've had the opportunity to do. Our strategy is to continue to grow shareholder value. And I do believe that we have that capability in our existing game plan, and we're being very nimble to react to other things that can drive value for us as well, like the non-fungible token space, NFTs. We announced a partnership recently with I Got It, an expansion of our NFT capabilities. That's unplanned revenue growth. That was never in our plan that we've shared with our investors and our shareholders. Gaming was never in our plan, specifically sports betting. We signed 2 deals with Rush Street Interactive and Genesis. Rush Street having a retail presence here on property, a 10,000 square foot sports book that we're going to be really incredibly lucky to have here, creating more of an experience for our guests. And Genesis being our online mobile partner. Those things are new income streams for us. Wasn't accounted for in our longer ranging plan that we've shown and demonstrated to our investors that that's where we're headed. So our company, I think, is taking full advantage of the environments that are presented to us while staying focused on keeping the main thing, and that's growing assets and creating environments for our guests to enjoy and to experience.
So we've talked a lot about the debt refinancing. Can you share a little bit more about construction financing and what that timeline looks like related to where we are within phase 2?
We're creating opportunity here through other means of financing, and the team has been very diligent around that. We're in a tourism development district, and so we have the ability to assess tax and bond against that. PACE energy financing we've taken full advantage of already and will continue to. We're in an opportunity zone which allows investors to come in and defray or actually get rid of some of their capital gains from taxes from investments that they've made. And so, we are fully rounding out our capital stack between equity and non-traditional forms of financing that I think is very unique for us, and our shareholders and our investors should really appreciate that, because most of that is much lower cost financing and much longer term. The commercial financing markets have been more difficult. As I said, the pandemic has created a little bit of hesitancy, if you will, around commercial debt financing for leisure tourism assets. Having said that, we're in possession of tens of millions of dollars worth of term sheets right now that can help create the assets that we're building. Erie Bank has given us 2 different commercial loans. We're talking to other commercial lenders. And so I'm confident that construction will continue. We'll deliver, I would say, 80% of the assets that we've already talked about in phase 2 by this summer. The remaining assets, the on-site hotel and the football-themed water park, will be next year. But Center for Performance, the completion and expansion of our Hall of Fame Village Sports Complex, the fan engagement zone, the play action plaza area, and a lot of the other area development done by the summer. Hopefully done by enshrinement, because we want to have an even bigger opportunity to host our guests coming, hundreds of thousands of people coming for that huge event with the kickoff of the NFL preseason, and of course the enshrinement of our new class of Hall of Famers this year. So commercial lending is a focus, but we haven't stopped in obtaining access to the other capital that we need to continue construction, and we've done that.
So a lot of folks ask the question, they wonder, what is the relationship with the NFL, with the Pro Football Hall of Fame? How have you been working together? What does that look like now?
Well, we are very fortunate, as I talked about earlier, to have access to the power of professional football and brands like the Pro Football Hall of Fame to build off of, right? And the stories that are contained, the archives in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, all of that, those gold nuggets that we can mine and help create great new experiences, stories, and opportunities for fans and guests to engage. I would characterize our relationship as never being better. The NFL hosts events here. Last year, as an example, we partnered with them to host a big flag football tournament here in partnership with the Cleveland Browns while the draft was going on. Of course, they kick off the NFL preseason here. I speak with Roger Goodell, the commissioner, and our team speaks with many of their team on a regular basis. The new president of the Hall of Fame, Jim Porter, is very active in supporting what we do, as is his team. And so, look, I think everyone realizes that we're stronger together and that we have an opportunity to help create and develop experiences that will augment and sustain an ecosystem for us here that will also be great for the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well.
Why don't you expand a little bit more on the opportunities and the different types of partnerships and relationships that exist with a few of the specific Hall of Famers to date?
Sure. I mean, well, look, it's a reminder of what we do. Creating physical destination-based assets, telling media stories and great content development there, and then gaming environments. And so look at the Village. Let's just take the Village as an example. Isaac Bruce is going to have a physical presence here with a cookie ice cream concept called Smush Cookies. I know a lot of people have fun with that name. I love that name myself, but the product is absolutely phenomenal, and he's a Hall of Famer. Late coach Don Shula, Ohio guy, John Carroll University, a one-of-a-kind Don Shula's restaurant here, a phenomenal representation and tribute to the coach, but you know, a great business opportunity for us. And that's only a couple. I mean, we talk to a lot of Hall of Famers through our relationship with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Clinics and developmental academies where Hall of Famers are here coaching and growing the next generation of athlete. The media, I mean, we've talked a lot about the perfect 10, the 10 gentlemen who've won a Heisman Trophy and also been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Story that's never been told before. We are out actively now selling the rights for distribution on that, but we did this in partnership with NFL Films. So again, back to the relationship with the NFL, they are the producer of the Perfect 10. Going into the gaming environment, Terrell Davis was our commissioner of our Hall of Fantasy League. We had professional football athletes in all of our front offices for the 10 different teams that we had in the Fantasy League. And I would venture a guess we'll do that same sort of thing this year and probably grow or hope to expand our league. But the point here is, when you have access to gentlemen that did the greatest things that you could imagine, and they have been honored for doing those things. There are multiple ways to engage with them, and we've done that and will continue to do that, just as we are with the NFL and with the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So we talk about the company being at the intersection of sports and entertainment. What does that mean to you? And then additionally, the tagline of the company, honor the past, inspire the future. So how are you going to use sports and entertainment to do those things through the realm of the company?
Being at the crossroads of it really just means taking that kind of opportunity and creating environments for guests to sort of be immersed and have a first more interactive experience with sports. And so running clinics or being here watching athletes being trained or even being on a ride or something that has to do with professional sports is entertaining, creating media for them to watch, gaming environments for them to interact with, Hall of Famers or professional athletes. It's all entertaining, right? And so for us, honoring the past and inspiring the future, about 50 yards away from where we're sitting is the enshrinement, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where all of these great athletes and contributors have been enshrined. And so paying tribute to that and allowing us to have an opportunity to tell their stories or continue to build off of what the Pro Football Hall of Fame has done so successfully for over 50 years, honoring the past, inspiring the future. Our youth sports program, our NFL Alumni Developmental Academy, where we're developing the next generation of athlete. And so we always keep an eye towards the things that we do, honoring the past, inspiring the future, but also being entertaining while leveraging sport as sort of the anchor for that experience.
So as you know, we just announced our earnings call, which will be taking place on March 15th. We hope that you all will join us for that. But maybe you could just end this conversation by sharing what you feel success looks like.
Well, I know everybody would like me to say success is the stock price going to, $50 by next week, and certainly shareholder value is success. And that's something that both myself and the team are incredibly focused on. But let's be clear. Success to me is building our destination that we've talked about, and we're doing that. Success to me is creating great media content, and we're doing that. Success is being nimble and taking advantage of things that we didn't have in our plan, like NFTs and digital collectibles, signing a deal with I Got It and the Pro Football Hall of Fame to expand our capabilities there. Creating sports betting relationships with two different companies where the ability to monetize those is at an even greater level than signing one particular partnership. And leveraging expertise from partners and growing our sponsors. All of that is success. Our team, though, is really focused on creating one-of-a-kind experiences, both virtually and physically, for our guests to enjoy. And I want this place open, and I want our guests to be able to come here and just have a wow experience. And I want our fans to engage with our media and gaming environments and have a wow, really over-the-top experience. And if we leverage the content we have access to us, and we leverage the partnerships at the highest level that we possibly can, I think that's going to be success for us.
Well, you've heard it here first. A lot of exciting information. Thank you for joining us for our first huddle. Thank you, Michael Crawford, for spending some time today
sharing
and expanding. And until the next time, this is The Huddle.
Thanks.